How have you guys been feeling over the last couple of days? It's midweek at the moment. We're just past midweek. And we're in very interesting times, right? There's a lot of shifts happening, a lot of changes happening, a lot of energy hitting Earth that are affecting us. If we realise it or not, right, it's playing out, and it always does. These energies are on cycles, and they always bring what they're meant to bring and what they represent, right? And we as individuals and as a collective go through these cycles working with these different energies. And especially since the weekend, right, it was the Capricorn new moon. A lot about new beginnings, right, and setting up this future self, right, of what we want to be putting our energy into, what life we want to be building for ourselves that's actually sustainable, right, the things that we actually want to do with our lives. Now, this can bring some excitement, and it also can bring some confusion. And I know for myself over the last few days, I had to allow that time just to be, right, and when aware of the energy that's coming in, a lot of the time it can make us feel like we need to act, really start making decisions and everything else. And although that's kind of true, we have to remember that these things take time, right? We have to be kind to ourselves, be in the heart space and allow ourselves to be in that. When making decisions and being aware of what we're going through and the massive times that we're in, the important times that we're in, the exciting times that we're in, not wanting to miss what we're currently working with to set up our future, we have to remember that these things are a process, and we need to allow ourselves to be in that. And as I said, that's what I've very much been in the last few days. I had to give myself that time just to sit without much expectation, and that's such an important part of the process. I feel comfortable when I'm acting and doing things and producing things and putting in these foundations, yet a reminder to myself has been sometimes just sitting and allowing to stare at a candle and drop into the heart space for these answers to come that we don't quite have yet, is a part of the process. That's just as much action as producing something and being active and acting upon these things that we're deciding, especially if we haven't quite decided yet. And that's okay, right? We need to be kind to ourselves in these situations, especially when there's confusion and we're still waiting for answers. We're still allowing these things to play out, right, for us to get drawn in the right directions that we feel connect. And if you don't know yet, that's absolutely fine. It's that reminder to zoom out a bit. A day or two or three can feel like a lot of time not to be doing much, or at least to feel like you're not doing much. Yet you're probably doing more than you would be if you were actually forcing things and trying to act when the energy's not supporting it, or act when you haven't got the right answers yet. 3 days is nothing in the grand scheme of things, especially when it comes to setting your foundations for the future that's actually going to be sustainable, right? If you don't know what's sustainable for you yet, then what are you acting on? I'm all for experimenting and trying things and exploring these ideas to then get the answers, and I do think that's an important part of it. And that's also why sometimes I'm not so comfortable in not doing much, right? Or feeling like I'm not being productive. But as I said, sometimes just sitting, not expecting too much of yourself is as productive as you can be in the grand scheme of things, the bigger picture, right? The eagle vision. If you used to zoom out and look down on yourself right now, as I said, 3 days can feel like a long time, yet it's nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's nothing in your next 20 years of your future, right? Give yourself those days just to be in the heart space and allow the answers to come, right? Allow the emotions to come up, allow the process to be what it needs to be, knowing that you're guided and you're protected and you're right on time. We can't feel like we're too late, especially with the Capricorn new moon and coming off of Capricorn being ruled by Saturn is very much to do with time, right? We can get caught in these old ways of being where everything's by the clock and everything has to be bomb, 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 action, 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 production, rigid, discipline. And we're moving into a new time where we're going to be disciplined in a different way, right? That's just what we want. It's discipline in a new way that's more in the heart space, not discipline that's going to burn you out or run you into the ground. That's not the future that we're building for ourselves. So giving yourself that time just to sit and ponder is vital, you know, and don't feel guilty. Be kind to yourself in that. Drop into the heart space as much as you can. Stare at a candle if that's what you need to do. And what's interesting is the answers do come when they're meant to. They really, really do. They fit into place and it all kind of makes sense then of, I was in that because of that, and I'm grateful that I was in that. I was grateful that I was conscious in those days and moments so that I can now see that message clearly or that feeling clearly. I can understand it. I've been given an answer, at least one step forward in this process that I'm currently in. And that takes us to allow ourselves to be in that, be conscious of what we're in and be conscious of the changes that we're putting into place. And as I said, sometimes this isn't just acting. This is just sitting and allowing that to be. And I totally get it. Actually giving yourself that time can be difficult, right? To allow yourself just to be in that. We're not always comfortable in, because we want to be productive, we want to be building things. But as I said, this is just as much as important as building things is actually allowing us to get the answers of what we actually want to build. You know, what is this future going to be for us? Because it's in our hands to decide, right? And working with these energies. So much is shifted at the moment. We're in these really, really exciting times, and things aren't going to be the same. There's a song that comes to mind a lot, and it has done over the last year for me, right, of being aware of what we're going through as humanity and as individuals, and watching things play out and feeling the shifts. There's a song, I'm not sure what it's called, but the one that goes, "It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine." And this comes to mind a lot, and has done over the last year or so. And it brings a smile to my face, right? It's the end of the world as we know it. I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. And this is the energy that I feel, this is the song that I feel very much overtakes me and captures me when I see some madness playing on, or these big changes happening, and I just think, yeah, things are shifting. And it's a process, it doesn't happen overnight, but it is happening daily, right? And these cycles of energy that come in are all part of it, even when it might feel depressing or sad or hard to take and confusing, we're not sure why these things happen. It's all part of the process. And it's an ending, and that needs to take place for the new beginning, the death and the rebirth, right? It's all part of it, and we're riding this daily, ride the wave. And part of that riding the wave is to sit, be conscious, and feel what you're feeling, to allow these messages to come, to allow the feelings to come that are going to be big decisions for you and going forward, right? We can't feel like we're too late. Again, that's all in the mindset, right? Dropping into the heart is just allowing it to be, finding flow with it. And this can be difficult at times, yet we know that it's vital for the magic to happen. And being conscious of that, we then actually get the right answers that we're looking for, and start feeling that everything's guided and it's right on time. Because it is the end of the world as we know it. But we can feel fine within that, you know, and ride the wave. And we're doing it daily if we realise it or not. And these energies are playing out if we realise it or not. But to have that understanding and clarity of what's going on, you can really start working with it. And working with it isn't always just do. You know, it is just be, and allow it to be, and allow to come what needs to come for you at this stage. And that can take some letting go, that can take some patience. And as I said, even with the patience side of it, right? Decide what you need right now for you to get this set up for your future. It might be to do and explore these ideas and act. And you're going to have energy there supporting you to do that. But for some of you, it might just be just to sit and be, you know, and your action is actually just allowing you to go through these cycles of energy that are coming. Be in that part of the process, which is just sitting still. We're in winter at the moment, or at least where I am at, right? It's not all about shining in the sunshine and being out there and glowing, right? We're in this time of winter, and that takes some going in, some hibernation, right, for us then to later blossom. We need to remember this, be in tune with the cycles of what we're actually expecting ourselves to be. Are we expecting ourselves to be in that blossoming all year round? Nature doesn't work that way, right? We need to go through the cycles and be comfortable with going through those cycles, so we then can blossom and have all the ideas. And we will have the ideas and the direction and the clarity when we're meant to, right? And it will be sooner than we think. It will come, and it might hit us hard, and we'll be running with it, and really then acting upon these foundations that we're setting now. But building the foundations isn't just acting. Sometimes it is just sitting and deciding what we think these foundations for ourselves are. Because sometimes what we think's for our best self isn't, and that's a process to go through. We need to trust more than ever that we're going to get the answers that we need and that we're looking for right on time, and they always are. So we've got to allow that and feel that, and allow that to be, rather than trying to force too much and being harsh on ourselves. Because there are other times where it is all about action and building that, and we'll be in that when we're in that. And you'll know that, you'll feel that, you'll have the energy supporting you to be in that, and you can fly in that, in those days and months when that comes, right? But for now, it might be that you're still on the ground, right? You're still prepping and understanding what this next chapter is for you, then to know what you're going to act on, what you're going to fly with. Allow us to build these dreams and these future lives for ourselves that are going to bring joy to us, to others, and be coming from the heart space. prepping sometimes is just sitting, being aware, being conscious, and allowing time to pass, knowing that we're getting closer to these answers. But sitting and pondering is just as an important part of that process when it's needed, right? And don't feel guilty when being in that. I had yesterday, my afternoon, right? I got to the afternoon, and I've been very much in this myself, sometimes having some real clarity on what I think is next for me and what I want to be focusing on, and other times just thinking, I don't know, I don't know if that is right for me. And what this is difficult for me is because I said I like the production, so I like to know what I'm getting up and working on each day. And there's lots of projects in my life going on at the moment that are happening. They're all happening and unraveling. Yeah, it's very much when I think about me, but what do I want to build for myself? These projects are all still going on and happening, but what's next just for me on a personal level when I don't think about all that other stuff? So I'm going through that, and yesterday afternoon that meant that I didn't really know what to focus on. I felt like I was like twiddling my fingers a bit, I was twiddling my thumbs. And these are those moments I have to remind myself, you're in this for a bit, allow the time to be, right? I ended up making music, and I've been making a lot of music whilst in this period, which is interesting, right? I can feel like I'm not being productive, yet music is flying out of me with no expectation. I'm not even really knowing what it's for. It's not like I'm sitting down thinking I need to make a track for this. I'm just allowing it to be, and they've been flowing out. So I've been grateful to have that. In many ways I've still been productive, yet the mind can tell me that I'm not, because I'm not making these decisions right away of what's next. And this is why I'm saying this about allowing that. It's okay not to have the clarity, because it will come when I'm aware that I'm in this right now, so that the clarity will come. A lot of the times it's more simple than we think as well. I'm having that with me since last night. I'm like, this is way more simple than I'm making it. And again, that's because the head can come into play, the brain can come in and take over, rather than just being in the heart and being authentic and just flowing, and all the answers come in that anyway, right? So yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. I didn't film any of those sessions because it wasn't about that. It wasn't about action. It was about me just allowing time to be, and in that time I decided to make some music, and it flew out of me. I've sort of made 3 new tracks in the last 2 days, and all is as it's meant to be, right? I sort of reverted to default for me, which is making music and those times. I've also been reminiscing a lot, going over my old projects and things that are in many ways not coming to an end, but a part of my old chapter that will in some way come with me going forward, but not as much as my main focus as they were over the last 5 years. And that reminiscing, that going down memory lane, going down a bit of a rabbit hole on some of my own projects was fascinating, right? It really, really was, all the work that was put into certain things. And I think this is part of the death, right? Part of that dying off for us then to rebirth. It only makes sense that it is that way. So allow yourself to be in that as well. Have closure, knowing that you're setting up this new chapter and that you're going to leap into it when the timing's right. And we're in it now, don't get me wrong. We're in it now. It's not about pushing the can down the road, and we're not doing that by just sitting and allowing these things to come. As I said, this is just as a part of the production and the process as actually being active in the 3D, right? Of start doing. It's all part of it. Allow the process to be, and you'll fly when you're meant to fly. You'll have the answers when you're meant to have the answers. And this is very much what I'm telling myself as well when in that, and staying in that, not letting the head overtake too much. It's all divine. It really, really is. And as I said, to stay in that excitement, to stay in that love, and to stay in that feeling that the times we're living in right now are really big. And it's a cycle of energy. And when it hits, it hits, and we feel it. And it's going to bring everything up to the surface for us to understand it, digest it, use it, let it go, and keep taking steps forward. But from here, not just here, And that's how this future can be sustainable for us, and be joyful for us, and be us living our purpose. Take care.